I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, me too. Let me make sure. I'm going to have to mute something because it gets kind of funny. So let's make sure it's running. We're going to mute it and then we're going to dive in. So stick with us if you're on because we've got a lot in store. There it is. There we go. Okay, so we are live. So again, I just want to welcome everybody. Bill, I'm so excited that you're here today. I always love going behind the scenes and getting the lowdown with you about, well, all things related to business, but specifically in this one area where I know you've mentored me a lot in these years. And you have made a significant impact in our business around this topic of premium packages, high-end clients, really making a big impact, doing the work you love and getting paid generously to do so. Like, that's one of the things that I love about the way you show up in this world. And, you know, I was looking over some of the information when I knew that we were going to have you on as a guest today. I think it's something like 20,000 people you've impacted in the work that you do. And I mean, like, kudos to you, man. That's pretty amazing. And, you know, now more than ever in the world, I think our work is needed. And I think the culture, not just here in the United States, for those of us that live here in the States, but globally, we are seeing things that we've never seen happen before. And old paradigms are crumbling, new ones are emerging. And I feel like the work that you do in this world is helping like a revolution unfold. And it's those of us that are doing this transformational work in the world is where that change is happening. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you here today. And so thank you for giving up a little bit of your time and sharing your greatness with all of us.
Oh, it is absolutely my pleasure. It's so good to be here with you particularly, but with everyone that's here to learn, to grow as a human being and grow as a business owner, because growth is the name of the game.
It is. And it's never ending, right? You know, our focus is on the startup entrepreneur and the startup coach and the first stages of their business. But, you know, I've been doing this 13 going on 14 years now, which I still have a hard time believing. And it's that constant and never ending improvement. And that's what I love about some of the groups that we're in together and about the work that you do and the way you help people continue to grow so they continue to grow their transformation in this world. So I want to dive in. We've got a lot to talk about. I love to cram a lot into a short amount of time so that folks can get the most from this. And, you know, you've got a topic that you want to focus on, how to avoid the 3 massive mistakes, right? Like what are those 3 important mistakes that repel those high-end clients so that you can avoid the under earning and the undercharging. And I think it's an epidemic that is slowly turning around in our industry. And I know you're at the forefront of that. But one of the things, I don't know if you can see it, but up here, can you see that right there? That is how the whole business started, right? So that's our why statement.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's our napkin story. You've heard that story. But that's where I always love to start, like, is what drives you? Like, what is your mission? Why do you do this? Can we start with that and jump in there?
Yeah. You know, there's something about people in general that want to make the world a better place, that have this desire to contribute to society in a deep way. And I love those people. I am one of those people. And one of the things that I notice is those people that have that about them have a specifically and particularly a tough time in business and getting clients and getting paid well for their work. And frankly, that's a problem. And most people in our tribe, most coaches tend to under-earn and definitely undercharge. And so for me, my mission is to stamp that out. Because if we look at statistics, they're not good, right? Like 80% of coaches make less than $20,000 a year. And only 6 make above $100,000 a year. Right. And I just want to reverse that trend. And I know what it was like to be underpaid I know what it was like to be underpaid, overworked, stressed out, and it absolutely sucked. And I have done enough suffering in that area for all of us. And I want to make sure that if I can take even just one person and stamp out that suffering of undercharging and under-earning, I mean, it feels like a life worth living, right? And yeah, and so for me, what really turned it around is to start to value what I do in a much deeper way, and to start to step into a different level of personal worthiness. Mm-hmm. And I did that initially by starting to offer premium packages. And so now I'm just here being the evangelist for premium packages.
Yeah, I love what you just said. Step into a whole new level of worthiness. Yeah. That's one of the things that I've noticed personally when I started offering these premium packages. The first thing I noticed after it happened was, whoa, now there's a whole new level of me showing up. And that was an interesting byproduct. Like I didn't even realize that was going to be a thing. And I was like, wow, there's even more of me bring to the table. So I get to tap into my skills even more. I get to do what I love even more. And I'm greater at it because the bar has been raised, not only for me to show up, but for my clients as well. I love how that works. Yeah. Kind of that yin and yang. Yeah. Now, we've said the phrase a few times, premium packages, high-end clients. Like, let's break that down. What exactly do you mean by premium packages?
Yeah, so some people call them high-ticket packages. Some people call them high-end packages. My definition is really premium packages is a package of service that delivers a highly desirable result and transformation in the most effective way possible. And the most important aspect of that premium package is that it is not based on time. It is based on value. And so what winds up happening, and this is an interesting thing for psychology, is that most people have a resistance on paying more per hour than they make themselves. So people are constantly calculating, how much is this per hour? How much is this per hour? And if it gets to a particular threshold, they're like, no. In their mind, they're going, who does that person think she is to be charging that much for what she does? Lawyers don't even make that, right? And so by being able to create these packages that are value-based, that are not, they can't even be translated into the per hour basis, creates a different level and different opportunity to enroll people and the clients into them. And so one other thing I want to say is that people always think like, well, I'm always talking about, well, how do you charge more for what you do? And that's not really what this is about. This is how can you create the biggest value that you can at the peak of your personal potential with your clients, where the price tag is simply a reflection of that level of work. It's about doing your best possible work. Like, think of what your best possible work could possibly be and 10x that. That's what I'm talking about. And it's not something that people step into right away. That's why we create package ladders that you can work your way up to the mastery of your craft. And our world actually compensates masters in a different way. So to me, premium packages are about mastery.
Okay, I love what you just said, the package ladder, because I know my own experience when I was we were at one of our mastermind events, and when this whole idea came up about premium packages and really raising that threshold. It was like, you want me to jump from here and to here? And it felt like the Grand Canyon. It's like, whoa, aha, ha. But I love how you said ladders. It doesn't have to be some people I imagine make that switch and do it well, but for most of us, I would say there's a progression. And I love that image of the package ladder. That's very helpful to imagine and visualize that transition.
And by the way, the first step on the ladder is what we call baby packages. Baby premium, right? Like, so for those that are just starting out, like that's the idea of charging premium for what you do, that you're not in the same zip code.
Yeah.
Right? So start out on the right path right from the very beginning with baby premium packages.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now you've worked with a lot of people in this training over the years, right? And I remember when we first met, oh my gosh, I think that's been like 7 years ago now, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. This was not a thing yet. This was something that you evolved into. So how did you become, like, your business evolved to this is something that you offered? How did you begin to coach other people in this area?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it started out with the worst client of my life. And you know the kind of client that like doesn't do anything that you talked about in a coaching session.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, no. You know, the kind of client where like, wait, this session is about re-enrolling this person into coaching. And wait, and this person doesn't appreciate anything. Wait, and this person only wants to meet at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And this person is paying me $20 an hour.
Oh.
Yes. And I am deathly afraid with every session, and this is going to be the last session we ever do.
Mm.
And then collecting that $20 was an issue. I mean, it's just like everything about it was such a pain that by the time this client fired me, I mean, I was like, this is it. This is going to be the end of the road for me and working with unappreciative, uncoachable clients who are not committing to anything. Because one of the things that I realized was that the bigger the decision, the better the commitment.
Mm.
A $20 coaching decision with no contract, and they can do anytime, and they can not show up to a session. And, even though I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to be there, they're not paying me. Right? Like, that's not a commitment. That's not a decision. Nothing happens in that particular conversation for that person.
Right.
And I realized that the higher the price tag, the bigger the decision, the better the commitment.
Right. And then the bigger the transformation, the bigger the impact. Like, it's boom, boom, boom. It goes right hand in hand.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, that's it. I'm never doing that again. I'm going to put together premium packages. And, my premium packages at the very beginning were like everything that you should not do, but it was still better than that particular client. And over the years, that became sort of like the centerpiece of how I do business. But more than anything, as I started coaching coaches on how to build their businesses, I started to realize that the people that are having the biggest success, the clients that were having the biggest success, this is the model. So before I started sort of offering my premium packages success system 3 years ago, I've already been teaching this for 7 years to my premium clients only. And so when I launched this, it wasn't like some new thing. It was like, no, this is proven. This is something that we've done for so long, and we know like this stuff works.
Yeah. That's amazing. And that's one of the things I really love about you as I've gotten to know you as a friend and colleague and business owner. The transparency is one of your gifts. And when you work, whether it's, with us as colleagues or with your clients or even people that aren't your clients, the willingness of what you share with people so that it can help them is tremendous. And I love how you took this from your own work. You shared it with your own clients, and really then it's like, oh, we have a system here, and we can share this in a greater way with this industry and this culture. And I love how it grew from that. And you just you followed that path, and had the courage to go there, because it's certainly not easy. So kudos to you, and thank you for doing that, because it makes a big difference. I know there's been a lot of people in our community that it's helped them bridge their success to really put themselves out there, to bring the most of themselves to their work, and to get paid generously to do so, because it's a both and thing that I personally believe in. Now you talk about people making mistakes. I hear you talking about some key fundamental mistakes that people make, and I want to take some time now to give some of our folks that are listening into this just a heads up about a couple of those mistakes, so that they can right away, it's like, okay, let me just check in with my business. Am I doing this? And how can I stop? So what's one of those fundamental mistakes that you refer to?
Yeah. As you were talking about mistakes, I wanted to explain why I start out with mistakes. And, one of the things that I love to do is just the way that my mind works is that I like to decode things. I like to decode things. I like to be able to find patterns. And one of the things that I keep noticing is, here are some fundamental things that most people do or don't think about that are creating their current reality. And if I can diagnose what that is and turn that around, like a mechanic, right? Like a mechanic is not going to be able to fix the problem unless the mechanic has diagnosed what's wrong. Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I noticed, and this was interesting. So I was talking to this coach it was actually at a dinner party. She was like a coach healer type. Mm-hmm. And I could just tell that she's so good at what she does. Those people that as you talk to them, especially people that they work in the inner game and the spiritual realm of coaching, like, oh, that person's got some sort of an it factor. And so I just wanted to talk to her, because I love the healing world myself, and I just wanted to soak up anything that she had. But, the conversation naturally went into business as she figured out who I was. And I realized that this woman is making very little money in her business. And I realized that she had a lot of shame about it. There was something about her where she was like, well, my husband is the one who's supporting the family. And my little coaching healing business is this little hobby that's somewhere on the side. But she didn't want it to be that way. She actually wanted to make a true contribution to their household. And I was like, okay, well, let me diagnose what's going on. And she's like, okay. So she's like, well, I charge $75 per session. And people get such tremendous value right away, and they get results, and they, have spontaneous healings. And it's amazing. I said, awesome. So let me ask you a question. So what's the average number of times that a new client sees you? She thought about it, and she went through her head like the last 6 months of her clients. She's like, well, about 3. I said, okay. And I did some napkin calculations, and I said, well, if you want to make 6 figures, it means that you're going to need to get 444 new clients a year.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. You got to be a genius marketer to get 444 new clients a year.
Not just genius. That takes a lot of effort. And I mean, that's a lot.
Selling and all of that, right? And so the business model is so faulty that it is impossible. I'm surprised that she was doing $30,000 a year.
Yeah. She's doing excellent at that level with her, with that model you just talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, well, think about it. Even if each client paid you $2,000 over a course of a year, however it is, you now only need 50 clients in a year.
Yeah.
Like, and you're good. We can get you up to 5,000 fairly quickly. And then you only need 20 clients in a year. And 20 clients in a year, that's less than 2 new clients a month. And now that is doable for anybody.
Right.
And so that's what happened. She quickly created premium packages. She was scared at first, so she put a $2,000 price tag. She realized, oh my God, first of all, I get to do my best work. I get to create deeper, longer relationships with my clients. And they're saying yes. So within 6 months, she was doing 5,000 for her packages. This is like a spiritual coach.
Right. The healer. I mean, in that, that's amazing. And that kind of speaks to that ladder approach you were talking about earlier. So you don't have to jump from here to there, but it's like, let's baby premium package and then the next level and let's grow into it.
Yeah.
And then it's
She's
doable.
actually ready for one step above baby.
Yeah.
Like infant.
Toddler. Okay, we have to work on the names of the ladders. That's funny.
We have names. I just can't remember them right now.
Well, people can find out more detail about those and when they get their hands on your stuff. But I love that concept, the ladder approach. So the business model, like this faulty business model where things are out of alignment, right? Yeah. Mistake number one. Yeah. What's another mistake?
Dehydration.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. So this is one of my myth busting, right?
One of your what? Myth bustings?
Myth bustings. Yeah. And I cannot tell you how many coaches tell me, all right, where do I find, they keep hearing, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. So in their mind, like, okay, where do I go to find clients that are rich enough so that I don't hear the words, I can't afford it? Mm-hmm. What they often don't know is that the words, I can't afford it, is code for this is not valuable enough for me.
Right.
I don't see enough value in this for me to invest in it, and that I can't afford it stops most people from pursuing the conversation further, and I can get out and never have to think about this again, right? So that's what winds up happening. And one of the reasons why that happens is because your package, well, if you don't have packages, then it's very difficult.
Right.
But if you do have packages and it's not designed to actually deliver an urgent desire or a problem that is urgent enough that people are willing to do something about it.
Yeah, like it's got to be top of mind, or like you said, urgent.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So here's a fist. And if I take this fist and I push it as hard as I can into my hand doesn't hurt. You can continue doing this. I can continue doing this for a long time. There's not enough pain for me to do something about it. Well, luckily enough, I have a little safety pin here.
Yeah.
Very little effort. And I'm not even, I'm barely pushing. I'm like, get that pin out of my hand.
Yeah.
So your packages need to be based on this rather than this, right?
I like that visual. Yeah, that's very easy. Yeah.
There's got to be an urgent desire in this moment. Otherwise, people are not going to want to pay. And here's the thing, oftentimes coaches, for example, there's a book, and a book is $20. A book could be interesting. A book could be something I don't have an urgent need for. I'll pay the $20. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Even if I only read a couple of chapters and go, oh, that's all right, I'll do it, right? That's not going to cut it in your business. Your business needs to be designed around something that's urgent in people's lives, where people are going to want to do something about it, and they're going to want to do something about it now. Without that, it becomes really difficult, right? So that's mistake number 2, that premium packages are not based on that, right?
Right.
And it's not about rich people, because I got to tell you, when there's an urgency, people are willing to do whatever, right? Like, I'm going to give an example that's gruesome, but I'm in that kind of mood. So if I don't have children, but if I had a child and my child was kidnapped, the words "I can't afford it" would not be part of my vocabulary. I would sell my house. I would borrow for from anybody I possibly can to pay ransom. I can't afford it wouldn't be an issue because there's urgency there.
Right.
Most coaches don't have any urgency in what they offer.
Right.
And without that urgency, there is a tiny percentage of people that are going to want to buy from you. And guess what? Just because somebody is rich, they're rich for a reason. They're not going to pay for something at a premium without them having an urgency too. So we don't need people. We just need to design our packages to have the ultimate desire factor already built into it.
Yeah. And that's another thing that you kind of piggyback on is I know you do a lot with enrollment conversations as well. And so one of the things that I know and teach is it's a copy issue, right? Then it's just a matter of how do you convey the value of that urgent problem and the solution you have in a way that they can understand it. Right. Now, that's super easy to say sitting here in this conversation we're having, but there's a lot behind the scenes to really understanding that, getting clear and conveying it in a way that the prospects and the clients can understand it. But yeah, it's not about we're the rich people and how come I always get the people that can't afford it? Why does everybody else get the people that can afford it and invest in it? And it's really, I call it a priority issue, right? It's you have not conveyed the value in a way that they can understand it, where they see it as a priority. And I actually did that with one of my clients one time. I knew her, she's a good friend of mine. So I knew I could kind of get away with this because I would never give this example otherwise. And she kept telling me I can't afford it. And I'm like, I know you very well. I've done some real estate investments with you. I know you more so than I know people. And I was like, okay. And so then I got really curious. And that's what I love about this approach that you're talking about, because then as a coach or as a transformational leader, we get to then tap into our greatest skills to get curious, to understand, to dive deep, like what's really going on, hold space for them, not buy into their story and all this stuff. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, I'm going to be really truthful because we're good friends and I think I can get away with it. And the example I gave, she has grandkids. And they were really little. I was like, if you had a phone call right now and one of your grandkids was in the hospital, the I can't afford it would never be in this conversation. You may not know how you're going to do it, but I'll figure it out because it's urgent and it became a top priority for you. And you see the value in that.
Yep. And
so like what you said, I can't afford it is never going to exist. Even with the people that don't have $15,000 sitting on their bookcase behind them saying, oh, I wonder what I'm going to do with this. Like that's rare. Yeah. But yeah, for it to be that urgent issue and then to be able to construct your packages in a way that conveys that is a powerful combination. For sure. What, can we jump to the third? I don't want to cut you off if you have more to say, but what's the third mistake if you're ready to go there?
Yeah, I've got lots and lots of mistakes. So thinking which one.
Well, we don't have to stop at 3. We could throw a few more in if you want.
I want to talk about this. I can't afford it. right? Because that's something that you sort of started.
Oh yeah.
And so we tend to decide for our clients whether they can afford it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this thing that happens. It's like, I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with a potential client, and the potential client is starting to like throw in little hints about like their financial situation, and like, oh, it's like something inside begins to stop. We're like begin to clench up, and we're like, okay, yeah, this is not going to happen. Like that's not something that they are ever going to be able to afford. So like, what can I offer them that I know they're going to say yes to? Like, and so we chicken out and we're like, yeah, here's like this $50 offering because I think I'm going to say yes. Well, you know, 10 $50 yeses don't pay your rent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's no need for that. And the one thing that we've got to do is to stand in the value of what we're offering without making up stories of what somebody can and cannot afford.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'll give you an example of this. This was actually one of our events, and there's this coach, Nikki, and she's coming to me crying, and she says, I've got to do this, but I don't have the money. I said, all right, let's just, you know, you talked about one of the coaching superpowers, like curiosity. And I was like, all right, so I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how much, like really, how much do you want your business to succeed? She's like, off the charts, it's a 10. I was like, all right. So now the next question, do you believe I am the right coach to help you get there? She's like, absolutely. And I just looked at her and I said, I believe that you will find the money. And I was like, there was this exchange. She looked at me. She's like at first she's like, did he just say that to me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I just said that to you. Like, this is all energetic.
Right.
Exchange of words. And then I can feel that shift. She's like, yeah, I'm going to find the money. She did within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
4 months later, she had her first $10,000 month.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that sort of thing, like standing in the line of fire. Like what happened with her, I wanted her to succeed badly. I wanted her to hire me, but I knew that I am not on trial, that my worth is not on trial when she says yes or no. So I can just stand there with her and be curious and take a stand for her to go find the money because I know that I can help her. And she did. And she became more successful than she could ever imagine. And she cites that moment as the moment of transformation for her.
Mm-hmm. It's like that moment when she's like, all right, we're going to turn right and we're going this way. And
Yeah.
it's really powerful. And it's going back to, you know, coaching and bringing in those skills. That's why I think we, more than all the other industries out there, we have this advantage when it comes to those enrollment conversations or talking with prospects. We have these inherent skills, and to bring them into those conversations, like you held space for her when the rest of the world was crumbling around her. And you're like, no, I think you'll find the money. And then that shift happened, that coaching moment happened, and she rose to the occasion. And it's so beautiful. I love that part of this process. It is like, whether they become your client or not, like you have just done them the greatest service that you could do for them in that moment. It's like everything else is icing on the cake. And,
And you're right. The coaches have an advantage. Like I'll give you an example. I am right after this, I'm actually training a whole chain of yoga studios on how to do enrollment.
Oh, nice.
And the interesting thing that the yoga teachers are the ones that are going to be enrolling the clients. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the yoga teachers that are also have coach training, and there's like a small percentage of them, they are rock stars. They get it right away. And the other yoga teachers have a much harder time. It was interesting.
That is interesting. I love how this plays out, and I love how we have these skills that we can tap into. But most of us think, oh, once they hire me, then I can start making my impact. And it happens way earlier. And it really transforms this, I can't afford it, and into so many variations. And I know you talk about that in one of the trainings that you released recently, about how you can transform that statement. So you're hearing your prospects say very different things. And it's another reason I love the approach that you work with.
Yeah. Can we sneak in one more mistake? Fine
by me. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one that's just sort of popping up for me, because I started out this conversation talking about our own worthiness, that somehow gets triggered here. And so I want to speak to this a little bit. And oftentimes what winds up happening is that we collapse ourselves, that deep inner non-egoic part of ourselves, and our business. And we are not our business. You are not for sale. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what winds up happening is that we often are taught, well, you got to sell yourself. And no, you don't have to sell yourself. And that's the reason why it is so important to have and to market and have your package be based on a system that you've designed that's unique to you, that is delivering the transformation of your coaching.
Yeah, and that puts the emphasis on the transformation. So the package, the way it's designed, it's emphasizing the transformation. It's all about them. It's not about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are not your business. That's a powerful statement. That's a paradigm shift.
You are not your service. You're not any of those things. Like, your own inner worth and value is unquestionable.
No matter what.
No matter what. Like, you can be the most successful person in the whole wide world. Your value does not go up.
And the opposite is true.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can be completely at the opposite end of the spectrum. Your worth is still priceless. It's not affected.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like you can just feel the paradigm shift happening right there with that statement. Because a lot of people, you hear that phrase, charge what you're worth. Really? There's not a price tag that I can put on that one.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what subtly happens. Like, when we think that we're selling ourselves, what do we want to do? We want to tell people how good we are.
Yeah.
And that never ends well.
Except for you, the one talking. That's really the only person it ends well for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they explain how good they are. They explain how their coaching worked. They explain sort of like the value and the importance of coaching. I can't tell you how many coaches' websites have this thing, like how coaching works, or like the importance of coaching, or any of those things.
My mission, my vision. I love this. It's like, wow, there's a place for that, and it's not on the front page, folks. Yeah.
You don't need to talk about qualifications, and you don't need to have more letters at the end of your name. It's really about creating a system. So if you think about it, most of the clients, you take people through certain things. And if you can take those things and decode what it is, base your package around it, and then translate each one of the process steps into language that is benefit oriented, so that the package name is something that people are like, oh my God, I want that. And then each individual step of the system is another attractive benefit where like the entire thing is like, oh my God, I want this.
Mm-hmm. It's all about them. It's all about their transformation and what they're that urgent. It's not this. I don't have a thumbtack, but it's that it doesn't take, there you go. It doesn't take much to make somebody move when you know how to articulate it. And there's certainly a lot behind that.
Exactly.
Any more mistakes you want to sneak in? Anything else coming up top of mind?
Yeah.
Right away.
Let me
like a little bonus one here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, I'll talk about pricing.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one.
My least favorite thing for a client of mine to say to me is, I'm not comfortable with that. And so the idea of pricing is that we want to price things at a level that creates some tolerable discomfort for us. If it's like, oh my God, like, I'll give you an example. When I first created my $50,000 package and I was on stage and I needed to name the price, my lips moved, no sound came out.
Right. Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Right. But you don't want to be comfortable with your pricing because you want to be living into your pricing. And a lot of the trainings, pricing is something that I talk about a lot. And there's a psychology of pricing. There's your own psychology, depending on how your mind operates. It's best for you to price and raise your prices using certain systems. Mm-hmm. Some people like straight up, like, let's just double it. It works. For some people, it's this gradual approach, and it all depends on your own personal psychology.
Right.
And I go through that a lot in our trainings.
Yeah. And that's amazing. I mean, I geek out on the psychology of pricing and the psychology for the person setting the price, the psychology of the person that's making the investment, like just that whole dynamic. I love that whole topic. That's a whole nother conversation. I know you dive into that in your trainings and the work that you do. But that setting that price and that one also ties into that last mistake you were talking about is we decide that they can't afford it. So I'm going to price my packages based on what I've assumed they can afford it because I've lowered and I've collapsed my own belief and worthiness in myself. And then it just gets so messy and then it's no fun. And it's like, why bother? Don't even do this because it's not even worth it.
Like the first time I remember experimenting with pricing was when my one-on-one coaching practice got to be really full. And I don't know if you ever tried this, and I hope no one does, but I was coaching 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, 40 hours nonstop coaching, like one after the other. That's not considering there's business side and all the other things that I needed to do. And so I was having enrollment conversations with potential clients on top of that. And I was like, I'm sort of done here. Like, I cannot take any more clients. So I was like, all right, so why don't I experiment? Like, what price tag should I put on what I currently do for me to go giddy, even in this busy period that I got a new client? And it was, at that time, it was $1,300 a month.
Which felt like it could have been 13,000. Like you could have added another zero is probably what it felt like, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah. And at the time, $565 a month.
Yeah.
This was before I had like real premium packages. $565 a month was the most I'd ever charged.
Yeah.
And so I said 1,300 and the person didn't blink. And in my mind, like I remember, like I'm seeing and watching this play out. Even though it was on the phone, I was like, I had my image. But in my mind, I was like, no, that's not happening. Wait, that person is reading off their credit card number to me. I'm writing it down, but no, that's not happening. All the way to like me going on that online portal and like putting the credit card, and it said it just went through. In my mind, I'm still going, no, that didn't just happen.
Mm-hmm.
But there's now a new ceiling for how much I'm going to charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage to take that step. And what I found is that when people can identify the structure, like what does it take to put the package together that conveys value? Because there's a lot that goes on to really understand that. And then to understand how to convey the package to really get that needle to make that urgency exist. Yeah. That with all of that there, when somebody takes that step, I know this happened to me. I was like, oh my God, not only did they say yes, but they're paying in full. Like, whoa, wait a minute here. And then it's like, oh, and then you really start to reframe a lot of things. And then moving up that ladder actually happens quickly.
Yeah. I mean, look, we create a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to tell myself and all of us that we are brilliant storytellers. And if we're brilliant storytellers, we might as well be telling the kind of stories that help us, right? Like, why choose a story?
Right. I mean, our thoughts become things. Be careful what you choose and which ones you say and how you put it out there, and because it's going to craft it for you and your clients. And I know that's a thing that in our community and in yours too, people are, not only do they want to do what they love, they want to make a big impact, they want to make generous money, but that impact piece and providing transformation to their clients is significant. And when you can do that, you're serving them in even better ways. We just had Narika is listening into this as we're channeling this live, and she's like, I can't wait to tell my story. And so we've got people listening in and they're chiming in on this and they're loving what you're saying. Yeah. And it's just, and there's an art and a science behind it. I know you've been breaking that down in the resources that we've been sharing within our community about the packages and the blueprints, and you go way deeper. You've got some other trainings that are coming up. You've got a panel of people that you're going to dive deeper. That's one of the things I said that I love about you is your transparency. And you just kind of pull back that curtain and say, look, here's how it is, folks. This is how it goes. And I love how you are so generous in the way that you share that information and those resources. But I did want to really quickly, I wanted to just make sure that for people that are like Narika, she's like, I can't wait to tell my story, or people that were talking about how they love that ladder approach and that want to learn more about this. You've got a lot of trainings and panelists that you're going to be bringing on to a live cast. You've got a number of resources that you offer. So if you want to learn more about what this is, these premium packages, the creating all of this stuff that we've been talking about today, you can head to billbaren.com/Melinda. You'll actually see the link below, and it's going to give you all the details about the amazing resources that Bill is generous to share. And to the degree that you want to learn this and apply this in your business to get that transformation, he'll walk you through it. And so I want to give that out. billbaren.com/Melinda is where to go to get more information and get your hands on that stuff.
Mel, I'm feeling something really deeply right now, and you may see it in my eyes already. And over the last few months, and I think you started out this conversation this way, the amount of pain, like collective pain, that our world has experienced is at a level that I have not seen in my lifetime.
Right.
And our clients, whether you know them yet or not, need you, and they need you badly, and they need you now. And they don't just need you, they need the best you.
Yeah.
And together, we're going to be here taking a stand to alleviate the suffering and promote healing of our planet, because that's why we're here. We have been put on this planet for that purpose. So let's do this.
Yeah. And we don't have time. This is one of the things I say to our community. I take your business seriously, and we don't have time to mess around. We don't have time for the stories that we tell ourselves. Like, we have been given the tools to move beyond that, and we can do it collectively in community and do it together, because it's not something that can be done in isolation. We just drown in our stories, drown in our, I call it the itty bitty shitty committee. Like, we get lost in it, right? But when we can come together in connection and collaboration and community, we can get past that pretty quickly. And we can dive into our greatness and bring the best of us. And we don't have time to mess around. There are paradigms and cultures and all kinds of things that are being broken down right now. And we, as an industry, as leaders, as transformational leaders, we are the ones that are equipping our clients with that ripple effect. Yeah. And what I love specifically about where you focus, Bill, on these premium packages and getting over this under earning stuff, and just really, like, it's the critical point. Like, you can be great at marketing and you can attract all the people you want. You can be a phenomenal coach or whatever industry you're in. But if this crux right here, you don't get it, the marketing isn't going to matter and your skills aren't going to matter. This right here is where that difference is made. And there is an art, a science, a finesse that is put into it that makes it one of my most favorite spots to hang out. I used to be terrified of it, but now I love, there's nothing better than being right here and helping people say yes to themselves and the greater version of themselves. And so if you're ready to say yes to the greater vision of yourself and the greater vision of your business, billbaren.com/Melinda. There's a lot of resources that you'll find there, some additional trainings and panelists and all kinds of incredible resources about that spot where this makes all the difference in how you will experience your business and the work in your world. And that's what this napkin, right? That's where it all began. And that's my why, is to help others live their full potential and make their greatest impact. And that's what this is all about. And everything that I do is measured against that, which is why I love bringing your work to our community and to our tribe, because it's like, it hits the nail on the head. This is one of their greatest burdens and distractions that we don't have time for. We got to turn this around. And it's super easy when you've got a little bit of information, a little bit of guidance. It's easy. You've got the ladder. You can go through it. And Bill, you're one of the best at it. So thank you for being here and for sneaking in one more mistake with us and just sharing all this information with us. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you deeply.
Thank you. And thank you for being here with us. It's, you're the reason I do what I do.
Thank you. All right, everybody, head over to billbaren.com/Melinda. Get your hands on the other resources that we're going to be bringing you and continue to share with you. And if you have any questions, let us know. And if you would, one of the ways that we end all of our trainings and all of our sessions and everything that we do in our community is with favorite frames. So post below and just share, what was a nugget, a gem, an aha that you're like, whoa, I know I took mine. I took my own notes. It's fun. I always love when I take notes doing these interviews and having these conversations. But my favorite frame that I'm going to enter is to stand in the value of what we offer. When you said that, like, full body goosebumps. And so post your favorite frames below. And what were your nuggets, those ahas that you're going to walk away with? Let us know, let Bill know. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer those. But head over to billbaren.com/Melinda. Get your hands so that you can really master this important spot in your business and fall in love with your business and fall in love with the people that you serve. All right. Thanks, Bill.
Bye.